today I'd like to just go over the indefinite pronouns that we did last week, and then we're going to spread our wings into doing more vocabulary and more speaking. Yeah, Effie?
I had a question because I was checking it out a bit before. I don't know if the question came last week, if I asked it or somebody else. If we put these indefinite pronouns with the mo and the demo that we learned in questions, does it change the meaning? Because from now, I think we only did like negative and affirmative thing, but can we also use them in interrogative sentences in that way?
Nani mo tapemasen ka? Don't you want to eat anything, like this, you mean?
Yeah, like can we use them also in questions, or should we use a specific interrogative to ask something?
No, you can use them in questions. So, for example, let's just. I just want to make sure that I'm answering the right question, though, Effie. So you could say, sorry, not dokumo. Nani mo tabemasen ka? This means, won't you eat anything? What it actually means is, will you eat nothing? Will you not eat nothing is what it literally means. But of course it means, won't you eat anything?
Yeah, that was my question, because if we translate literally or somehow literally, I wasn't sure if it would make sense or if we would have to use another interrogative version of a pronoun like dareka, or like, I mean, maybe we use dareka, but I didn't know if we can use all of them as questions as well, because maybe it would change the meaning that we want to say, like this, for example. But we can use that like this.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends. This is why I said on one of the first slides last week that it's going to take some practice to master this, because it's really this is much more vocabulary based now than it is grammar. So, for example, let's look at this question. This is a kind of general question, which is going to be like, would you like to eat something? This is what you actually want to ask somebody. And then there are these different ways of saying it. So you can use the what's it called? Just a second. The absence set, which is nani mo tabemasen ka, which means will you not eat nothing, or will you not eat anything, or won't you eat anything? If you want to say will you eat something, then we do that thing that you said with the interrogative, nani ka tabemasu ka, which is will you eat something, or you can invert this and say nani ka, tabemasen ka. This is also fine. Won't you eat something? Is that answering what you mean?
Yeah. It's the right direction. It was just a question because I wasn't sure if we did any examples last week with questions. We only did like negative or affirmative to see if we would use more or demo. But what about questions, for example?
Oh, okay, right. So yeah, basically, if you make these statements, you're probably going to have a kind of, what's the word? A flashback revelation now, because you remember that all statements can be made into questions. So if I say nani mo tabemasen, which is what we really worked on last week, wasn't it? Which means I won't eat anything. Then just by turning this into a question, means won't you eat anything, or won't I eat anything, won't you eat anything? So yeah, you can just turn these into questions just by the addition of ka. Yeah, you don't need to add anything extra. This is as it is.
Thank you.
How much it changes if you say nan demo tabemasen ka?
Won't you nandemo tabemasen ka? Nandemo tabemasen ka? Nandemo tabemasen ka. This slightly changes the sentence, and this now kind of makes it into, amongst a selection of choices, won't you have one of them?
So you can eat anything?
Yeah, nandemo tabemasen ka? Nandemo tabemasen ka? Yeah, Yeah, so it's almost like there are some categories of food in front of you. Maybe there's a seafood section, a meat section, and a vegetable section, and you can choose one of them, and you don't eat any of them. And then somebody could say like, "Nandemo tabemasen ka?" Won't you eat any of them? Oh, yeah, will you not eat any of them? Which is different to nani mo tabemasen ka. So this nani mo tabemasen ka ignores the fact that there are categories of food that you can or cannot eat. So if you really want to just ask the question, well, won't you eat anything? Do you want to eat something? Then it's better to say nani mo tabemasen ka, because this is really kind of inviting them to say, yes, I would like to eat something, or no, I don't want to eat anything. If you say nandemo tabemasen ka, this is just like a question about whether they, almost like whether they are able to eat a certain kind of food. Does that make sense?
For example, vegetarian people, if you ask from some vegetarian people,
exactly,
is there
yeah,
something what you don't want to eat?
Yes, yeah. So if you went to the table and there was lamb, pork, beef, sausages, which are of course all animals mixed together, and seafood, and then you could say nandemo tabemasen ka, which means won't, but it would be then much more correct to say nandemo taberaremasen ka. Aren't you able to eat anything? Yeah.
Oh yes, of course, potential. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah,
cool,
go ahead, Tom.
Cool, thank you.
Okay.
In this case, would tabemaska be enough also because it's implied? Or is it... No, just tabemaska without.
Oh, of course, yeah. In fact,
to make it.
Yeah, really, if you were speaking casually, then you would just say taberu, like this, which is tabemaska. Yeah. It depends on the relationship between you and the person that you're speaking to. So a mother might say to her child just taberu, because this is the kind of ultimate in casual conversation. But if you want to say to somebody that you don't know that well, maybe your relationship is a little bit more formal, then you would probably use something like nani ka tabemasen ka or nani mo tabemasen ka. Yeah. I mean, I guess you really have to kind of think about the context, guys. If you went into say you went into a pub and there is an option to eat food, but you don't have to formally sit down and order it. It's just when you want to eat something, then you and your group members can eat something. If you said nani mo tabemasen ka, this is like you've seen a friend who isn't going up to the bar to order some food. It's like, oh, aren't you going to eat anything? It's like everybody else is ordering food. Are you not going to eat anything? But if you really want to say, are you, shall we eat something? Do you want to eat something? Then you should say nani ka tabemasu ka or nani ka tabemasen ka. Yeah. Is that okay? Cool. Right. Let us just clear that and go. Have we lost Constantine? I think we've lost Constantina. Oh, that's what happens when you use all your internet on Netflix. Okay, so just a really quick reminder, I'm not going to explain these in any great detail. We have this total set of everything, everybody, an open set. So this is something more. This is something demo, and this is also something more. This is more in the affirmative. This is more in the negative. So we know that we use these indefinite, we use the interrogatives to make indefinite pronouns. Yeah, the total and absent set are marked with mo in either the affirmative or negative. The open set is marked with demo and is usually followed by an affirmative, but there are a couple of cases when you use the negative. And remember that a lot of these are subject to alternative words like not daremo, but minna or minasan. not nanimo, but subete or zenbu, and not always itsumo or itsumo nai, itsumo shinai, but zenzen. Okay, so these are, in fact, you can see some of the alternatives here. These are all reasonable. Hopefully you have this slide somewhere glued to the fridge or your partner's forehead. We did these. Unfortunately, Yuki's not here. I wanted to ask him about both nanimo kamo and also this I would like to go anywhere at the weekend, which was, we sort of decided on Sunday, I think, was doko ni demo ikitai desu. But I will have to wait till Yuki comes back. Okay, any questions, guys? Cool, let's do a few examples to warm up. And
Does
then we'll move.
this nanimo kamo mean could be nothing?
So this is when we want to use nani more in the affirmative. So if you wanted to say, I don't want to eat anything, then you would say nani mo tabemasen or nani mo tabetakunai desu. Yeah. But if you want to say, I want to eat everything, you can't really, as far as I understand, and to be honest, this is the first time I've read this, you can't say nani mo tabemasu or nani mo tabetai desu. You have to say nani mo kamo tabetai desu or nani mo kamo tabemasu. So this kind of forces it into the affirmative.
Isn't kamo kamoshimasen?
Well, it's used in this as well, but
okay.
Yeah, I to be honest, I've never really come across this phrase.
No,
because
it sounds like maybe I don't eat anything.
It could be this. It could be this. I don't know. I need to ask either Yuki or Yuki or
Yuki.
Or yeah, or our other Japanese friend who lives in England. Yeah. Himu, thank you. Himu. So usually we would say, if you wanted to say, I want to eat everything, we'd normally say zenbu tabetai desu. Or I want to do everything, zenbu yaritai desu. We don't normally use nani mo. But I guess this is a way of forcing it into the affirmative.
I have some phrases from Takoboto. I don't know if you found some. Is the question? I mean, what Yuki would explain is like, when can we use that, or?
I mean, so we're kind of stuck on the prongs of two motivations. One is to learn grammar in all of its different combinations, and the other one is to learn conversational Japanese. Now, this part here, this nani mo kamo, was an attempt to understand grammar completely, which part of me wants to do, but part of me doesn't want us to go down that road because we're not going to become Japanese scholars, apart from Piotr maybe. And but at the same time, it's good to kind of know these things.
Yeah, so, well, there are some interesting phrases. If you want me to screenshot and send you some of them.
Oh, sure, yeah, why not?
Yeah, there's some very nice examples here.
Okay, cool.
So
cool.
If you wanted to ask him about ways to use it, for example, I can just screenshot some and we can share them in the group or something.
Yeah, certainly. Okay, cool. Thank you. Right, let's do some examples, shall we? So guys, don't be surprised if you use a certain combination and we end up using a different alternative version. That's just part of this process at the moment. Let's start from Joseph. Today was very tiring. I don't want to go anywhere. Excuse me.
今日は疲れてました。疲れた?
Yep. 疲れ. Let's use the play. 疲れました.
疲れました。 maybe から作れましたから、どこでも行きたくないです。
Okay, so this is one of those sticky ones. It would be better to use doko mo ikitakunai desu. So we're literally saying, I don't want to go nowhere.
Yeah.
Doko mo ikitakunai desu. Yeah. But this is going to be tricky when we want to say, I would like to go anywhere, because we probably won't use doko mo ikitai desu, because you can't go everywhere. You want to go anywhere. Yeah. Okay. Yari. John never comes to the pub.
John-san senbu babu ni ikimasen.
This is come to the pub.
Kimas.
But in the negative?
Kimasen.
Kimasen, yes. Okay, so
So
zenbu would be for things rather than times. But
okay.
It's
Zen.
Yes, good. Zen pub ni kimasen. And
that's the shortest way.
yeah, it is absolutely. There's another one you can use here. Never for never in time.
Never. Not anymore.
That means all the things. But what about all the time?
All the time.
Always.
It's of course kested, but in the from the table what you showed us.
So you can use
maybe
you can use itsumo as well here as well, which is really weird because this means
always,
all the time, always.
Okay.
He never comes.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. David, everyone knows Mayumi-san. If you knew Mayumi like I knew Mayumi.
皆さんがMayumiさんを知っています。
知っています。So, should this be 皆さん or みんな?
Sorry, みんなさん。
Should there be san at all, actually?
No, I always forget this one because one of them's including myself, one's including everyone except, and never use an honorific for yourself. So no, it shouldn't be.
Yeah, so it should be minna.
Minna ga Mayumi-san o shite imasu.
Yes, good. Minna Mayumi-san o shite imasu. Effie, when it becomes spring, everywhere looks beautiful. Remember, this was an extra bit last week, wasn't it?
When it becomes spring, haru nareba. Nareba. Haru ni nareba. Everywhere. Doko mo.
Good.
Kirei so desu. Ne, kirei sasou desu.
No, you don't.
Mitai desu.
Yes. Kirei mitai desu. Okay.
If I would say so desu is like it seems, but it's not. Then?
So the thing we did last week was to draw the difference between something that looks maybe falsely a certain adjective and something that looks truly like an adjective.
Kirai.
Not kirai.
It's kirei. Kirei mie. Something with mie.
Yes. Yeah. So if we're using a na adjective, we need to turn this into an adverb.
Is that a na adjective?
Yeah.
Kirei ni?
Yes. And then,
Kireni with mieru, does it have to be like potential or something?
no, miemasu is fine.
Miemasu, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, kirei ni miemasu. So this means pretty. How do we say? Let's do the same one with beautiful.
Is it another word?
Yeah. Utsukushii.
So, 春になればどこも美しく
Yes. 美しく見えます。
見えます。Yes.
Yes, good. 春になればどこも美しく見えます。Good. Tom, Mark is always free.
Mark is always free. Mark さんがいつも暇です。
Very good. Yes, Mark さんがいつも暇です。Good. And Jock, I didn't go anywhere last week.
先週どこも行かなかった。
So with doko, this is one of the exceptions where we actually need to put the particle in there as well. So it's doko ni mo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
行
Doko
か
ni
なか
mo
った。
行きませんでしたね。
はい、来ませんでした。
Good. Let's go through another batch as we're doing so well. Josef, I won't say this to anyone. Darling.
これが誰もに言わないです。誰も
So this is also
誰かに
no, it's dare ni mo. So going and talking to and meeting with all include the ni particle. Sorry, thanks, Effie. So for all movement verbs, aimas and imas, these usually use ni as part of their when you form them. So I said to John-san ni kore o iimashita. So if we're using ni, then we need to include it here as well on the on the thing.
誰にも言わないです。
Yeah, iwanai desu. Or even just imasen is also good.
Yes, I guess it's oil naga.
Yes, yeah, sorry. Kore o誰にも言わないです. Good. Yari, you can sit anywhere.
どこでも座れます。
Yes. どこでも座れます. I think we've done this, maybe not as a formal, but yeah, we've done asking permission. So Yari, how would you say it is fine to sit anywhere? It is okay to sit anywhere.
Now we have a fight.
You got new doggy? Oh, hello.
They are playing the boys on the bed.
What make is it?
Okay, it's fine to sit.
Yeah, like it is okay to sit anywhere.
Yeah, it's a doko. Doko demo.
Yep.
Yoko.
No, so if you think about when we've done may I do something, how do we do this? So for example, can I eat this? Okay, so what we did before was no, it was temo ii desu ka? So for example, in this can I eat this, it would be kore o tabete mo ii desu ka? This was the asking permission lesson we did, well, probably a year ago now.
So
no, maybe not a year, maybe 10 months.
Doko demo mo I sua.
I know, so follow this form.
Demo suwatte mo ii desu ka?
Yeah. So this isn't a question, it's a statement. So we can just leave it like this. Doko demo suwatte mo ii desu. Yeah. Cool. Good. David, you can come to my house at any time.
Anytime. Ie ni Itsudemo.
Good. Yes. Itsudemo.
Kite mo ii desu.
Very good. Kite. Excellent. Cool. Let's read these guys before we go on because I'm running out of space. So if you can unmute yourselves. I can see some Mario Brothers paraphernalia in your house there, Joseph.
Do, 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 do.
That's not a one-up shroom. Don't eat that.
No, it's just a toad.
I think the Nintendo Park opened, no?
Yep.
Yeah, it did.
In Osaka.
Ah. 今日は疲れましたからどこにも行きたくないです。
今日は疲れましたから
今日は疲れました。どこにも行きたくないです。
ジョンさんがいつもパブに来ません。
ジョンさんがパブに来ません。
みんながまゆみさんを知っています。
みんながまゆみさんを知っています。
春になればどこも美しく見えます。
春になればどこも美しく見えます。
So it's really tempting to want to stick a particle here like ga, but you have to remember that the more usually replaces the particle, except when you've got a direction or looking, or not looking, direction, speaking, or meeting somebody.
Is more a particle in itself?
It is kind of, really, yeah. Well, it's. I think it falls into a kind of hinterland between being a particle and a verb. What's it called? An interrogative inflection. Don't ask. Markさんがいつも暇です。
マークさんが暇です。
先週どこにも行きませんでした。
先週どこにも行きませんでした。
これを誰にも言いません。
これを
誰にも言わない
です。
どこでも座れます。
どこでも座れます。
どこでも座ってもいいです。
どこでも
座ってもいいです。
家にいつでも来てもいいです。
家にいつでも
来てもいいです。
もういいです。
Cool, good. Let's get rid of something.
Bij van de chocolade.
Moissy.
Chocolate.
Effie, when the weather becomes better, I would like to go anywhere.
I have the weather once today.
Yeah. Sorry, just before we carry on, Constantine was trying to get in there just a second.
Yeah, she was really troubled with.
Oh, there she is. Hello. Welcome
Finally.
back.
The internet is really unstable. I don't know if it's gonna do it again.
It's better now anyway. You seem to be recovered. Okay. Effie, sorry.
Hey, 天気が I want to go a bit weird. Wait. 天気が良くなるな。Is it a なら?
良くなら、いいなら、天気が。Why don't you do what you did before, which was to use become?
With the ba. ならば。天気が良くなれば。どこにも。
So this is どこに Doku ni demo. Because so just to be clear, doku ni mo. Go ahead. You finish this off this way first.
Okay. Because isn't the demo with a negative verb?
No, if you finish this off first, and then I'll explain.
Okay. Yeah. No. Oh, I see. No. Okay. Yeah. Open set. Okay. Doku ni mo or doku demo. Ikitai desu.
Ikitai desu. Oops. Ikitai desu. Ikitai desu.
I would like to wake up anywhere.
Yeah.
Camping.
I think we've lost Effie again. So, not Effie, Constantina. Okay, so I think I'm fairly able to update my understanding of this now. So, for example, doko ni mo ikitai desu. This means basically I want to go everywhere.
Okay.
But if you say doko ni mo ikitakunai desu, what this actually means is, quite literally, is everywhere. So it's still got doku ni mo.
Yeah.
Everywhere is a place I don't want to go.
It's also not what we want to say then. Okay.
Right, yeah. But this is if we use doko mo, if we use this exclusive doko ni mo ikitai desu or doku ni mo ikitakunai desu, this means everywhere. This means nowhere. So we have to force this doko ni demo ikitakunai desu. Yeah.
To make it open, to make it anywhere.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
わかりました。
Tom, I can drink anything, but I prefer red wine.
Dove demo.
Oh, good.
Nomemasu.
Yeah.
Ga. Aka wine ga daisuki desu.
Oh, good. Okay. Aka wine ga daisuki desu. Excellent. Okay, good. And Jock, the dog. Go ahead.
With the prefer, wouldn't you say hogai?
You can do this as well. So, Tom, why don't you put this in there as well?
Dove demo nomemasu ga aka wine no hou ga daisuki desu. No, then I don't mean the daisuki, then it's just desu.
You need something. Wine no hou ga.
Yeah, I'm making a comparison. So to say it's the most, that's the no hou ga.
Yeah.
Ides.
Okay, ides. Okay, cool. So in here, this could be, you could have a selection really. Skides, oishides, mashides, anything positive you can put in there. Yeah. Or maybe even akades. Akawine the hoga akades. That was a joke.
So what does red
It
wine
means-
red?
Yeah, red wine is the most red. I can drink anything, but red wine is the most red. Okay, and Jock. The dog tried to jump on the counter, but couldn't take anything. I thought I'd save a good one for you.
犬がカウンターの上に乗りたかったんけれど、
乗りたかった
ん
ですけれども、
何も取れ何も取れなかった。
Yeah, exactly. 取れませんでしたね。She said in the 取れなかった would be the right casual. Good. So this is fine, Jock, but this is saying the dog wanted to jump on the counter. How about the dog tried to jump on the counter? Do you remember this form that we did a couple
No,
of
I
weeks
don't
ago?
remember it. I do.
Okay, let's have a go. So this is all good. Counter no ue ni. So let's use noru, but we'll turn this into the volitional, plain volitional. So noru would become
Volitional. What's the volitional form again?
this would be norimasho, but in the plain form.
Noro.
Noro. And then to or toshimashita. Noro toshimashita. This means tempted. Had an attempt. Yeah. And then we got this nani mo.
What was the noro again? It was called the
plain volitional.
plain volitional.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
norimasho is of course the volitional, and noro is the plain volitional. Okay, so what we can basically do with this, with group one verbs, is to take norimasho, the volitional, split it up into nori and masho, grab this bit at the end, and stick it in there. Yeah, and this works with all group ones. Ikimashou becomes ikko. Yeah. And just as a reminder, guys, because it's exposure is all about learning. Group 2, tabemashou becomes anybody?
Tabeo.
Tabeo, good. And shimashou?
Shio.
Yo.
Kayo is the next one.
Kiyo, I think. Did you say that?
Koyo.
Kiyo.
Koyo.
Kiyo. Koyo. Which one? Koyo. Thank you.
I think it's koyo because I had it wrong the last time.
Right. Koyo.
You do your homework, Tom. That's good.
Yeah.
From mistakes, I learned the most.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, let's read these ones, guys. Kore o dare ni mo imasen.
Kore o
dare ni mo imasen.
Doko demo.
I think we've done these.
Imasen. Oh, yeah, sorry, we're just going to repeat some of them. Doko demo suwaremasu.
Doko demo
suwaremasu.
Doko demo suwatte mo ii desu.
Doko demo
suwatte mo ii desu.
Ie ni itsu demo kitte mo ii desu.
Ie ni itsu demo kitte mo ii desu.
Tenki ga yoku nareba doku demo kitai desu.
Tenki ga yoku nareba doku demo ikitai desu.
Dore demo nomemasu ka? Aka wain ga daisuki desu.
Dore demo nomemasu ka? Aka wain ga daisuki desu.
どれでも飲めますか？赤ワインの方がマシです。
どれでも赤ワインの方がマシです。
犬がカウンターの上に乗りたかったんですけれども何も取れませんでした。
犬がカウンターの上に乗りたかったんですけれど何も取れなかった。
取れなかった。先生、
yeah, どうぞ。
ですけれども or ですけれど。
It doesn't matter really. If you wanted to keep it uber polite, then ですけれども。So yeah, this whole thing, けれども is the full expression, and you can shorten both of these. So you can go けれども, or you can say けれど, or けども, or just けど.
Okay.
How much
cool.
you like somebody?
Thank you.
Okay. The longer, in fact, the right order would be, the longer the phrase, in theory, the more polite it is. Yeah. Okay, cool. Any questions about this, guys? When I see Yuki again, I will ask him to clarify these extra bits. But generally, there are alternatives to anything which feels a bit sticky, a bit difficult. Cool. Right, let's move on to today's Schnuffle Schnaffle. Can you see this tree?
No.
No, okay.
Should we?
Yes, please see the tree.
So, Sensei, are you moving on to the new stuff?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, now you're coming to join us then.
Oh, I thought now he's quitting.
You wish.
Okay, so I don't think you guys saw this if you weren't in the Asahi group when the new group started, but I was trying to explain to everybody the basis of this class. So I wanted to pre-warn all the beginners that we weren't going to start off with konnichiwa, watashi wa cheese ga daisuki desu, and things like this. We were going to start off by learning not phrases and not vocabulary, but we would work on sentence structure first, because this is the roots of the language. And then verb conjugation is the main structure, the main trunk of the tree. And then joining the verb conjugation and all the wordy words are the branches, which are the particles in Japanese. So we would spend a little bit of time on sentence structure, a long time on verb conjugation, and a lot of time on particles as well, before we even touch the words, the real vocabulary. But what I'd say now is that we're now reaching the end of this kind of grammar building part of our Japanese, and we're really in this part here where almost everything is somewhere between grammar and vocabulary. So this means that we're going to be probably learning a lot of simple stuff, but there's going to be quite a lot of it in the lesson. So this is like being exposed to the language. So you should pick up lots and lots of words. So if there are words you haven't heard before, by all means, please make a note. Even if you know that you can pick up a dictionary and check them later, write them down for now. It will help your what's the word? To memorize something. It will help your retention. It will help your retention if you write it down as well. Okay, so we are going to go back to a little bit of the requesting stuff that we did before. I'll just turn on the little red laser pointy. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Does anybody have any cats that want to catch the red thing on the screen? Effie?
I keep her outside for reasons.
Piotr, you've disappeared again. Are you coming? Piotr?
Yes, sorry, I had a bit of a trouble because I disconnected my second monitor and
okay.
I couldn't see the video because it was on my
Monday.
secondary. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to go back to the workplace.
Okay, so let's have a quick recap of requesting. So hopefully you'll remember that if we say something te kudasai is the easiest way to say please do a verb. Please do this, please do that. Okay, nobody looks shocked. Good. We can put the request in orders of politeness by extending the length of this key phrase here, kudasai. So if we want to be really casual, we could just put the verb in the tefel and just say itte, go, itte, go on, fuck off, itte. If you want to make it a little bit more polite, more friendly maybe, you can put ne after it, itte ne, go, where you go, go on, sod off, itte ne. You can then add these extra bits. So kudasai and kuremasu are pretty much the same level of politeness, but you can again make it something fairly casual by putting te kure, tabete kure. Go on, eat this, tabete kure. You can extend kureru into the kuremasu to make it a little bit more polite. And then with almost all of these keywords, you can turn them into negatives, into negative questions, to soften or make the request a little bit more indirect. So, kore o mite kurimasen ka? Won't you please look at this? And we can do the same thing with kudasai. This kudasai is the basic keyword that we use, but you can also use this in its full grammatical form. So you can say, hanashite kudasaimasu ka? Won't you speak to me? Oh, will you speak to me? Hanashite kudasaimasu ka? If you're working in the service industry, you quite hear this kudasaimase. This is a little bit like irashaimase. So putting the mas with an e at the end is a really we'll come on to doing the obligative, imperative rather, at a later date. But it'd be nice if I could have the whiteboard up at the same time as the screen, but I can't. Doesn't matter. And then you can also invert this into the negative and say, "Yutte kudasaimasen ka?" Hello, Wayne. Having a lunch break. Okay, so you can also actually use not just kudasai. So you remember we did the giving and receiving. You can also use moraimasu. You can say te moraimasu. Hanashite moraimasu ka? Won't you let go of me? So you can say hanashite moraimasu or moraimasu ka, moraimasen ka. And you can also make this indirect by making this an ability. Moraemasen ka? Can't I have you talk to me, please? And moraemasu ka and moraemasen ka. There's a reason why these are pink, which I'll explain in a second. In principle, but not in practice, you could then put te onegaishimasu in here as well. And you can make onegaishimasu also a little bit more polite by saying onegai dekimasu ka or onegai itashimasu. This is in principle, but not actually in practice. You shouldn't really put the te form of a verb next to onegaishimasu, but in practice, it sounds weird. You can use kudasai, kure, and moraimasu, but onegaishimasu is really used by itself. You can say kore o onegaishimasu, can I please have this? But you shouldn't really combine it with te form of verbs. You can make something sound very polite by doing it, but it does sound slightly weird. There are better ways of doing this. And the same thing applies for itadakimasu. You can, in principle, put the te form with itadakimasu and all these other variations, but it sounds a bit strange. So in conversation, I don't recommend using it. Hey, Konstalinka. Konstantina, why don't you turn off your video and just leave the sound on? It might keep you connected. No. Okay.
If you do itadakimasu, it would be a bit keigo, no?
Yeah, I think in any case, even if you're using keigo, in fact, we'll find out this weekend.
Okay.
I think it's kind of weird to stick it. There's probably other ways, like verb te kudasaimasen ka. It's probably, even if you're trying to speak keigo, it's probably better.
Yeah.
These are clunky when you sit onegaishimasu next to.
Okay.
Because I mean, the reason I guess the reason is that onegai is already a verb.
Yeah.
So this comes from negao, and then you've got shimasu next to it, which is also a verb, and then you're sticking another verb here.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it's like three verbs stuck together. This is really kind of not efficient grammar. Okay, can I move on, guys? Somebody needs more time. Okay, right. So as well as all that, there are other things that this is all basically revision, I hope. But there are other ways to make requests and commands. So, for example, you can take the mas form of a verb and put nasai after it. So I'm sure some of you already know this phrase, oyasumi nasai. Okay, so this comes from yasumu, yasumimasu, yasumi nasai, or yasumi nasai.
Gomen nasai.
Gomen nasai, exactly, gomen nasai. Tabe nasai, iki nasai.
Yame nasai.
Gomen nasai, gomen ne. Yeah.
No, yame.
Oh, yame nasai, sorry, yame nasai. Yeah.
Yeah, Joseph know what time it is.
I'm just going to, give me a second, guys. I'm just going to stick something into Google Translate a second. I just want to see what the correct reading of this is, because I think I'm wrong. Before you write down kinasai, you might want to correct it in just a second. Let me just check. Kuru. Oh, it is kinasai. Okay. I'm not always right. I've been wrong before. There was a time when I thought I was wrong, but it turned out I was right. That's an English joke, guys.
Where go sumimasen?
Sumima. One more time.
Sumimasen.
So there's actually a. Have you watched the Onamapu video on Simasen?
Okay.
Have you? No, it's a question.
I haven't seen.
So I really recommend watching Sumimasen on Onamapu. Sumimasen is usually used to mean excuse me, thank you, I'm sorry. Yeah, it means so many different things, but you can't really use it as a request or a command. So you can use it to mean thank you, but you can't really use it to make a request or a command. You can begin a request by saying sumimasen ga kore o tabete moraimasu ka? Yeah. Okay, this is actually the new stuff. That was just basically vocabulary up to now.
Andy?
Yeah, go ahead.
So the ikinasai and the tabinasai, where are they on the polite scale? Is it less or more polite? Or it's just
it sits here. So it's more polite than te kure, but it's less polite than te kuremasu ka.
So would you use it with the teacher or not?
No, no. You can use gomenasai and oyasuminasai.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't really use tabinasai for or ikinasai for keigo. There is a
pushy a little bit.
It is a little bit, yeah. It's kind of friendly and what's the word? Collegial. It's what you do with colleagues and friends. Yeah. Okay. If you want to slightly make this kind of more indirect, or just make this a kind of different kind of vocabulary, you can also express, I would like you to do something, using this form here. So we put the verb into the te form, and we put hoshi desu, hoshi desu. Now, hoshi just means desirable. It means I want, something I want, hoshi desu. So this is an e adjective. So if you want to inflect this into the negative or the past, then of course you don't change the des. You change the hoshi, as it's an e adjective. So, for example, Wayne, would you like to have a try at this? As it's almost completely made out of compound kanji words, you should be able to have expertise in this.
部屋に
部屋を
部屋を掃除に欲しいです。
No, not 掃除に欲しい, but 掃除. Then we need what would be the verb with 掃除?
Ga, sorry.
No, not ga.
No?
掃除して。掃除して。
はい。
はい、どうぞ。もう一度お願いします。
部屋を掃除して欲しいです。
Very good. Yes. 部屋を掃除して欲しいです。So, Piotr, how would you say I don't want you to clean your room?
部屋を掃除して欲しくではありません。
欲しくないです。
欲しくないです。Sorry.
Yeah. 欲しくないです。And Joseph, how would you say I wanted you to clean your room?
部屋を掃除し して欲しかったです。
Very good, yes. 部屋を掃除して欲しかったです. And Yari, how do you say, I did not want you to clean your room?
部屋を掃除してほしくなかったです。
Very good, excellent, well done. Good, well done, guys. Now, but please remember that verb tehoshi isn't an actual request, it's basically a statement. So you could use it in the right context as a request, but beware that if the context isn't right, then you're just making a statement. It doesn't actually have any effect on the person who's listening. You're talking about yourself. Sorry?
Little passive aggressive.
It is, exactly. It is passive aggressive. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you said to your child, I wanted you to clean your room, in theory, your child could say, oh, that's interesting. I wanted to eat cake. And just to finish off this section, and just to keep things interesting, verb te hoshi is the same as verb te moraitai desu. So hoshi and moraitai are basically the same thing. Moraitai, I want to receive. Hoshi, I want. So you can, these are interchangeable.
Verb te moraitai?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. This is kind of long and clunky. You know, you should use te hoshi, but this is perfectly possible. You're muted, Piotr.
Apart from moraitai being like one syllable longer than hoshi, what makes it more clunky?
There's a verb, te, a verb, adjective, state. It's just a little bit clunky. It's not overly.
But you'd use your hoshi des as well, right? Or
yes.
Would you just omit the des and then that would make it indeed shorter?
If you wanted to make it less formal, you mean?
Yeah, no. I mean, you did add the des to the moraitai des, but you omitted it with the hoshi des.
Ah, sorry. Sorry, you can put des should be in here really.
So,
yeah.
So it's mainly because it's an adjective instead of a verb that it's less clunky.
Yeah. It's just the most direct way of saying it, really.
Hi.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions? My little schnaffles. Nine? Okay. Everybody okay? Okay, let's try some examples, shall we? So I've got some easy examples to do first, and then we're going to do some kind of little assignment type things, because I want you now to work on vocabulary and putting together sentences and putting together meaningful statements. So let's go to here. David, I want you to go to work at 8 a.m.
Hachiji shigoto ni iki.
Sorry, hang on a second. Hachiji.
Oh, sorry. Hachiji ni.
Good. Yep.
Shigoto ni ikite kudasai.
No, that's not any.
No.
That's
it's
not any kind of correct, really.
No, it's not. Sorry, not enough coffee yet. Oh, my brain's just gone into that.
Okay, so let me just put the little guide line at the top. It's verb te hoshi desu.
Oh, sorry. I thought we were still doing the earlier bit.
Oh no, so it's not the mass form. It's just the te form.
Ni to go to work. Ikite.
No, what's iku in the Teflon?
Ite.
Ite.
Ite hoshi desu.
Yes, good. Exactly. Good. Okay.
Andy.
Yeah.
When do you use e and when do you use ni? Like for shigoto ite?
Okay. So for time references, you can only use ni.
Yeah.
For direction movement references, you can use anytime e or ni.
There is no like distinguish like.
No.
Okay.
No, it's fine. Yeah.
Hi.
If you're using stative verbs like iru or aru, you should really use ni more. Just a second. Yeah, you should use ni for imasu and arimasu. You shouldn't really use e. But for iku, kuru, kairu, modoru, modosu, you can use e.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi.
なぜかわかりませんが、それは決まってます。
はい。
Effie, I want you to meet my manager next month.
来週。
Not 来週, but.
来月。
来月.
Sorry.
Okay.
来月. Is it Shacho? I found a company director, Shacho.
Shacho? This would be
manager or something.
So you've opened up a whole can of worms because
I know it's a kunyo means no.
Shacho, kacho, bucho.
Exactly.
Master.
Shacho, kacho, bucho.
Not master. That's different.
Kaisho.
Ask Piotr.
Kairi.
Goshojin-sama.
Goshojin-sama.
Kaisho.
Bucho. It goes on and on and on.
Is it Yakuza? Bucho.
No. It's also just direct. Just means director.
It's different levels of
Micho.
Mincho. Wayne.
Micho.
Micho.
Kumicho.
Oh, Kumicho.
Kumicho also, yeah.
When we are talking about Yakuza.
Ah, right. Our group commander.
Oni-chan. I don't remember what they call. Yeah, anyway. So what should I use?
So
manager?
The general word, the general word, you can either use manager or the much more generic term is joshi.
I was watching the Onomapu this morning with a grandma that is talking English, and I'm like, I mean, you can technically do it if you want.
Yeah. Manager.
So, 来月マナジャーに会ってほしいです。
Yes, good. 会ってほしいです。Excellent. I've if you don't mind, I've got a little anecdote to talk about this. So the right order is something like just a second. Lichi, Shacho, and
Bucho, that's for sure.
Bucho is above Kacho, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. In a second. X. And then Kacho, then Dairi, or Kacho Dairi, Bucho isn't there, and Kumicho is something, a different kind of company. Dairi Kakariin. I mean, it depends on the company. It depends if it's an agency or a corporate company. These all have a different effect on the structure. And also at the top, Dairi is in there as well somewhere. Dairi, maybe here.
Kakaricho.
Is there a kancho somewhere as well, or is that different?
Kancho. This normally works for the director of a space, like a dojo, for example.
Oh, that can, yeah, okay.
Yeah, Kakaricho, I hope you also say Kakaricho.
Yeah.
And also, not Daitorio, but Sosai. Sosai. This means president. So, I mean, these are rough orders like Sosai and Shacho. In, for example, a government agency, you probably wouldn't have Shacho, you'd have Sosai. So you wouldn't have, Shacho is normally the president of the company, but if it's an agency or an authority, you'd have Sosai. And then if you've got executive committee, then you've got Dairi, etc. But these all have got, sorry, I'll get down to the anecdote now. These have all got very nice literal translations. So Sosai is president, and then Shacho. What do you think, Wayne? Is that also president, would you say?
Yeah, I would say that's also president, yeah.
So it's president CEO, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then Ricci is kind of vice chair or something like vice president. Dairi. Sorry, that's executive. That should be executive director. Dairi is, I think, something like director. Bucho. Now, although that means director, that actually means section.
Yeah, Buchos are like department.
Yeah, sorry,
division head.
Division head. Yeah, good. That's better. Division head. I mean, Kacho is section head.
Yeah.
Dairi is kind of subsection manager.
Yeah,
there's 2 diaries.
Like TL, basically.
Sorry.
It's like team leader, Kakaricho. It's like the small one.
Yeah, team leader. I think this is kind of
There is now 2 diary.
There's 2 diaries.
It's two diary. Yeah.
The column.
Director.
Ah, sorry. Oh yeah, actually that one's probably not the right one. Kakarin was kind of like sub team.
Where is the Shogun and where is the Kakka?
I mean, they're all kind of there. It's very
There is no anymore.
No, it really depends on the company. But this was in the 1980s, 1990s. It was like this, and then more and more companies went over to the American title structure, and that's where it becomes really, if I might say, stupid, because it's really easy to kind of visualize what these English names mean. You can be pretty sure that you know the difference between president and subsection manager. You can easily tell that one's senior to the other. But now, because they tried to copy their American counterparts, you've got things like president, and then this would be something like maybe vice president. Let's go into Ricci actually, because these are basically the same. The vice president, and then Bucho would be deputy vice president, deputy vice president, and then Kacho would be something also just now starting to sound
sub-deputy vice president.
Yeah, it would be something like this. It would be something like sub-deputy vice president, and then even down to Dairi, which is basically nothing. This is like in the Budo structure, this is like 4th dan.
Still president.
Yeah, exactly. There'll be something like corporate deputy sub vice president.
Yeah.
Like everybody would get these new business cards, and everybody would be a fucking president. It's like, this is ridiculous.
Well, all the titles are ridiculous, so it actually in line now with the titles.
But these at least gave you some kind of understanding as to where they sat in the structure, because you think, well, a boo, there'd be like if it was an engineering company, there'd be mechanical division and electrical division, and maybe a civils division. So this is, that's the from the company. That's the next structure, divisions. And then you got in the electrical division, you've got the electrical design section and the electrical maintenance section. And then this kind of all makes sense. You can see how the company has got a structure and each person sits in it. You just take the name of the division, the name of the section they're in charge of, and put Cho after it, and you've got it. You now know exactly where this person sits. But when you've got things like corporate deputy vice president, it's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Are you actually in charge of anybody, or are you in charge of the coffee machine? I don't know.
In America, they also use the word estimator.
Estimator?
Yeah.
What's that? Sorry? Yeah.
Senior estimator and younger estimator. And they are also some kind of leaders in companies somewhere.
Really? Estimator?
They still use the Japanese, no?
Sorry?
They still use the Japanese, so.
Oh yeah, the Japanese are still in there, but when you when you flip over their business card, and or if they're introducing themselves to their American counterparts, you say, "Ah, watashi wa Honda desu. Denkika no corporate deputy vice president desu." What?
Yeah.
And he's like 19 years old.
Yeah, but so basically, the longer the name is, the lower the rank.
Possibly
You can discount that.
Might be a
Andy?
good way to see.
Andy,
go ahead. Yeah.
the executive list of the Zenken-ren is incredibly interesting.
Really?
They're all presidents.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you have a look, it's madness.
Yeah.
It's also a Japanese organization. It has to need a title.
Yeah. It's completely bonkers. You now just lose all of your ability to navigate where people are, which is important, right? It's really important to be able to know where people are in the structure in a Japanese company.
To whom you should bow deeper before and after your grading. Yeah.
Verbs to use.
Yeah. I mean, I doubt, maybe with the exception of Joseph, this isn't much use really, but there's a process for getting permission in a company. If you apply to get funding for something, for example, or for the company to make a decision, there's a hierarchy. So there'll be like your manager, his manager, her manager, etc., etc. And what you mustn't do is get permission from the top manager first.
Yeah, I did that.
You did, yeah.
Yeah, of course, I got shouted at.
Yeah. It basically then says to all the managers below that person, well, you've got the signature of the vice president. Why are you asking for my permission?
Yeah.
Go away.
Yeah.
So it's a really big faux pas to not start at the bottom and work your way up to the top.
Yeah.
So it's important to know where people are in the structure, but you can't if you read their English names. Anyway, Effie, the answer was Joshi. Okay, right. And Tom, I want you to pay the bill after we finish drinking.
So I have to work with the subclass. So I know it ends with biru o harate hoshi desu.
Sorry, is that biru as in beer or biru as in bill?
Bill.
Okay,
Should be bill.
So
biru o harate hoshi desu.
Yes, good.
And then for the after we finish drinking, can we say watashi tachi ga nomimashita ato de?
Nonda ato de would be better. Nomimashita ato de is grammatically fine, but in order to make to put ato there after a verb, it's better to drop this down to the casual level. Nonda ato de biru o harate hoshi desu. Really good. Yeah, cool.
Can I have a slightly related question?
Sure.
When would you use ware ware? What's that?
Ware ware. In fact, you can use it exactly here, ware ware, instead of watashi tachi.
But is it like a polite level difference, or?
Absolutely, it's absolutely polite actually.
Okay.
If you want to make it slightly casual, you can say warera or okura or orera. I think is also possible. Ware is perfectly polite.
Can we use hateha?
Who?
Hateha.
Hateha?
Or to the end.
No. So to means something else actually. So to means there's. Give me a second. There's yato and to. These mean slightly different though. These are actually literally mean in the end rather than after than. So yato means at last, yato, and toto means finally, like kind of sadly, here at the end of our journey, young hobbits, we meet at the shores of, now I've lost it.
Should have taken the eagle.
So it's ogeku. Ogeku.
All sorry?
Ogeku. I have heard that word. I don't. Maybe you can say it.
I don't know. Maybe. But this is what toto means.
Yeah. Thank you.
But you can't use it for after. It's literally a kind of. It's one of the. It normally begins at the start of a sentence. You
It's
say
like a son of
yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's a time reference rather than than a time point here. Yeah. Okay, Piotr?
Would this be a good place also to use owattara? And then
Yes.
something like nomi owattara?
Yes, good. Let's put that in. Watashi tachi ga nomi owattara. I mean,
implies you were drinking for a long time.
Yeah.
Obviously.
We'll be
That's
fine
why
with
you have
it.
to go pay the bill, because I can't walk anymore. So it is nomi, not nomu, right?
Correct. Yeah, nomi owattara. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
If we're on the case, then my first thought, but I didn't take the risk, was with Toki. When
Okay,
we
well,
finish drinking.
We should use. Let's try this as well, Tom. So, how would you do this?
So the Watashi tachi ga stays the same because it happened in the past. It's also the plain negative, so nonda. Tokini. And then biwa o harate hoshi desu.
Yeah. So you don't need ni in this particular case, Tom, unless you want to stress that you want to say.
He pays the bills. Yeah.
So let's just quickly look at this, guys, because I'm not sure I explained it to all the groups when we did Toki. The difference between.
I thought it was to emphasize.
It was, yeah, exactly, yeah. But just to be clear, this is what you should say. This is literally a translation of this. Oops. I want you to pay the bill after we finish drinking. If you say ni here, it means that somebody has tried to go and pay for the bill before you finish drinking. And what you want to say is, it's when we finish drinking that I want you to pay the bill. And that's when you'd use ni to give it stress. Yeah.
Sorry, does that mean that I want you to have paid the bill by the time we finish drinking? The other one?
No, the one with ni in it.
Mm.
It might be, but it's really just to stress that you're saying it is when we finish drinking that I want you to pay the bill. Yeah. Okay, Jock, I want you to read this history book.
この歴史の本を読んでほしいです。
Yes, good. 読んでほしいです。Wayne, actually, I'm going to slightly change this. I always want you to hold this while watching the pigeon. I was running out of ideas.
What's pigeon in Japanese?
Hata. Hata.
Hata.
Yeah.
Hato.
Sorry, hato. Thank you. Sorry, hato. Hato is something else. Hato.
Hato.
And by complete galactic coincidence, just outside on my table, you can see a very plump pigeon having a drink.
Aww.
Num num.
Num num. Indeed.
So when the pigeon flew into the window, it was real life.
This actually happened, so that's why I made this example. Okay, over to Wayne. Oh, shit, I messed up on my leads now.
It's more.
Yeah. Sorry, give me a second. I'm just untying my leads. Two more. Two more.
Kode.
Sorry.
Kode.
Kode. What's kode?
Kode.
Oh, kode. Sorry.
Yeah. So I got my ventilators on.
Sorry.
これを持って、持った。同時に
Okay, let me help here. So I think that this is a time reference that should go within the sentence, not at the end of the sentence. This is information about the sentence, not the actual point of the sentence. So I think it goes here.
Hato o mitte.
Do you remember this form while doing something?
Nara.
Yes. Hato o. Did you say nara or nagara?
Nara.
No, I would use nagara. Nagara.
Nagara.
Yeah.
Mitte nagara.
Minagara. Minagara.
Minagara.
And then it's easy. これを持って。
欲しいです。
Yeah, exactly. 欲しいです。Good. Cool. Pyeongtong. Every day I want you to be at your desk at 9 a.m.
毎日、午前9時に机に、let's see. Would you use iru here? So
you can use iru in the te form. Yeah.
行ってほしいです。
Yeah, 行ってほしいです
So is it irimasu?
No,
Right?
it's
no,
imasu.
imasu, of course.
Imasu. So
Sorry,
it's
yeah.
group two.
Irimasu is to want?
Irimasu?
Yeah.
Did you say? It means to need.
To need. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So ite. Okay. Right.
Good. Joseph, I want you to eat all of your carrots.
人参全部食べてほしいです。
人参を全部
全部
食べて
ほしいです。
That's good. Let's read these now, guys, because we're running out of space. If you can unmute yourselves. Unmute, Effie.
Sorry?
That's all right. Let's go. 8時に仕事に行ってほしいです。
8時に仕事に行ってほしいです。
来月上司に会ってほしいです。
来月上司に会ってほしいです。
上司に会ってほしいです。
私たちが飲んだ後でビールを払ってほしいです。
私たちが飲んだ後でビールを払ってほしいです。
私たちが飲み終わったらビールを払ってほしいです。
私たちが飲み終わったらビールを払ってほしいです。
私たちが飲んだときビールを払ってほしいです。
私たちが飲んだときビールを払ってほしいです。
この歴史の本を読んでほしいです。
この歴史の本を読んでほしいです。
いつも鳩を見ながらこれを持ってほしいです。
いつも鳩を見ながらこれを持ってほしいです。
毎日午前9時に机にいてほしいです。
毎日午前9時に机にいてほしいです。
人参を全部食べてほしいです。
人参を全部食べてほしいです。
Yari, let's get rid of these first. Hang on. I want you to talk to Susan, even though she's boring.
This will be difficult. Susan, son. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Hanaste Hosides will be in the end.
Yeah. You could perhaps tell me that at the beginning. Hanaste Hosides. Okay.
Susan, what boring? What is boring? I don't know.
Tsumaranai. Tsumaranai.
Tsumaranai.
Yeah.
Atemo. Yes.
Huh? Sorry, one more time.
Atemo.
Atemo?
Even.
Not atemo.
Atemo. Okay, donnani.
Ah, okay. So it's how to. Oh, right. Even so, tsumaranai. So just to keep it simple for a second, you could just say tsumaranai desu ga, or tsumaranai keredomo, or any of these you can use. Keredomo. If you want to make this a little bit more connected, you can say tsumaranakutemo. Tsumaranakutemo. This is a bit slicker. Tsumaranakutemo hanashite hoshii desu.
Okay, yeah.
Andy?
Yeah.
Can we pop in there noni?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Tsumaranai noni.
Yeah, tsumaranai noni. Even though. Yeah, exactly.
Andy?
Yeah.
I don't understand why we use the wa with Susan, because I thought the topic was the person that should talk to Susan.
So yeah, when we first did this, I thought that this should be to. Susan-san to tsumaranai desu ga hanashite hoshii desu. Yeah, this is actually probably better.
I thought ni.
Or ni. But so there's this problem with this sentence is that it jumps between the person you're talking to and Susan in terms of the subject and the topic. So I think probably to be really clear, you could have started it like this in conversation. This will work fine. Susan-san wa tsumaranai desu ga, and then to make it a little bit clearer, I would say kanojo to hanashite hoshii desu. Just to kind of make it clear that you're now saying, even though she's boring, please speak to her. I want you to talk to her. Yeah. But I think this would have worked in its original form. It's not perfect grammar. I think in order to make this clear and correct and slick, I would start off with tsumaranai noni, or tsumaranakute mo, Susan-san to hanashite, or Susan-san to hanashite hoshii desu.
Andy,
Yeah.
I was thinking this, but then I think this now means more like
the conversation is boring.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like,
it does.
I'm sorry that this
it
is
does.
a shitty request, but
yeah, it does mean this exactly. Yeah, it refers now to the process of talking to her. But this is fine if this is what you're trying to say. It's not a good idea to say that somebody is boring. If you say it is going to be boring, but please talk to Susan, then this is probably a better way of saying it. Yeah.
Yeah, the polite way.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, David, I want you to tell me where you went yesterday.
Oh dear.
We can look at this together. Go on.
Kino. Where I went. Doko ni ita? No ka?
So in this case, you'd say no o.
No
so
o.
This now makes the thing of which you want them to tell you.
Doko ni ita no o. Oshiete hoshii desu.
Okay, oshiete. So probably oshiete. That's fine actually. Oshiete hoshii desu. Yeah, good. You can also use tell, which is sutaeru. Sutaeru.
Sutaeru.
Yeah, so this becomes taete hoshii desu.
Would it be fine to use yutta?
Yute is also fine. Yute hoshii desu. All of these are fine.
Moshite?
Sorry, John.
Mosu? Moshite?
Moshite?
Say. Speak.
Yeah, that's quite polite though, isn't it?
No, it doesn't work, does it?
Moshimasu, moshite. It's just uber polite though. Yeah.
I don't know why, but the dokon ni ita no o always seems to break my brain.
Yeah, because it's kind of we have to kind of in our mind create these subclauses and then see this as being a converter of the verb into a thing, to substantiate it.
Okay, so yeah. Okay.
And then almost see this as another kind of object that you now want them to do something with.
It's like I'm coding again.
Yeah, this is the thing about Japanese. It is very much like coding.
That's why there's so many nerds that can actually learn Japanese and have difficulties with other European languages.
Yeah, almost certainly. Yeah. Effie, I want you to say if this hurts.
If this hurts. But I cannot do like a ba thing here with a tie.
Well,
because I cannot do the te hoshi, the other ones.
Oh, you can use te hoshi, but it's this part here that you're now questioning, isn't it?
Yeah. I was gonna say like something with the ita kereba or something, but I don't think it applies here.
Try.
Okay. Koreba.
It's basically anata wa.
Yeah, anata wa.
Yeah.
Kore ga ita kereba. Itai desu. Ita kereba.
Ita kereba.
But then where is the te? Because then itai desu, but if I put ita kereba, I don't need a verb.
No, so this is a condition, and then I want you to say. So this is the if this hurts. You then say, I want you to say.
So it's the say that I have to do with the. Okay, ite hoshii desu.
Ite hoshii desu, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. Okay. So what other alternatives have you got in this place? Kore ga.
Actually, I only thought about it.
Sorry, Jock, once more.
Itai nara.
Itai nara, good. Ite hoshii desu. Anything else?
You could use the toki when it hurts.
Very good. Kore ga itai toki.
And it also be in the.
Hoshii desu. It's good. Anything else?
Could you use the tara here once it has hurt?
Kore ga itara. Ite hoshii desu. Yep, that's fine. Doesn't break the 3 regulations. It breaks a couple of them, but not all of them. Any others? This is a very comprehensive look at conditionals.
Itakute. Staite.
Itakute. I'm not saying no, Jock. I'm not sure if you can use the.
No, it's not really if, though, is it?
No, not really. You can't use.
Itai yoni.
No, you can't use that. It's not conditional. That's like a tamini yoni thing, isn't it? The one I was thinking of was kore ga itai ka o tsutaete hoshii desu. This now means not when it hurts or if the situation arises. I want you to tell me if it hurts. if it hurts. So not, these are all good, these all work, but these are all basically when it hurts as a kind of condition. But if this hurts or if it doesn't hurt, これが痛いか, or you can say 痛いかどうかを伝えてほしいです. I want you to tell me whether or not this hurts, because I'm about to stab you in the face. Okay?
すみません、Andy.
どうぞ。
So about a year ago, when we were learning the TEF form, you always use for the U, Yutte, E-U-T-E. And now you don't do that anymore for the advanced class.
So when I'm writing it, I have to basically write itte. But when you're saying it, then you can say yutte. Yeah. Yeah. There isn't really a written form of yutte, because it would just be, give me a second.
Because you can't write it in hiragana.
Yeah. It's I mean, in kanji it's written like this, and even in hiragana I could write it in hiragana, but it would be like this. So you'd have, if you knew that this was to say rather than, for example, to go, then you could read this as yutte, but you'd have to write it as itte. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
So when I type in yutte, it does produce the I kanji, and then utte.
Does it actually give you the?
It does. Yeah.
Yutte, like this. Yeah, this is actually wrong.
Okay.
This is, I think, this is the typing tool doing its best to translate what you've said.
So
that's also a long U, and would be a short U, no? Yutte, not U.
This is just one U.
Yeah.
But what this actually means is, yutte imashita.
Yeah.
Imashita. He said, say. Yeah. So this te is being used as a marker at the end of the way that the typing translator is doing it. It's saying, this must mean you, and then te imashita.
Yeah.
This is the te that also is used as to for the the end of quote.
Speech. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Who was I on? This was Effie. Tom, I want you to swim to that island.
Sono island ni.
Not Sono.
No, not island.
Not Sono. And not
That
island.
Ano. Ano island. I don't know island.
Shima. Like Yukishima. Yeah.
Okay, so Anoshima ni. Oyoite.
Very good.
Hoshi desu.
Good. Okay.
Oyoide.
Oh, good. And Jock, I want you to pour another cup of tea.
Ocha no ippai o sosoide hoshi desu.
Yes. Hoshi desu. Perfect.
Not
good.
one more though, is it? Just says 1 cup.
Ocha no mo ippai.
More ippai.
Oh, sosoide. Yeah, that's better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ippuku?
Ippuku?
I think so.
Ippuku? A cup? A fuku?
Are you going to doubt someone who does chado?
No, not at all. Not at all. I'm interested.
I think it's ippuku. More. Yeah, because that's what you ask at the end. Like, do you want one more cup? Like, mo ippuku ga ikura deshou ka?
I think this is specific to Channel U.
Okay, that could be.
Yeah.
It's basically, do you want another dose?
Or a smoke or a puff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Then that's fine. Okay.
Yeah. I imagine that's probably a specific thing. Maybe it's because you start. Do you smell the tea before you drink it?
No.
It's probably just a specific thing to Channel U. I'm
yeah,
sure.
Probably.
I think it's to do with the preparation, maybe.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, because it's powder.
Yeah. One more puff of powder could be.
Give me another hit.
Yeah.
Ippuku QK is a tea, coffee, or cigarette break.
Anyway, but if it's just a cup of tea, it's definitely more ippai. So, Jock, does that more ippai, how to do this in here actually? This is grammatically correct, but what I hear people actually saying is ocha o more ippai, and then they don't actually put in another particle. Sosoide.
Yeah.
Hoshidesu.
Or you can just keep the whole o. Ocha mo ippai.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And then last one, Wayne. I want you to study harder in the summer before the exams.
Can I put summer in France now?
Yeah, yeah. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
So, Wayne, you've got a choice here. You can either put ni or no in this place. So if it's the summer exams, then of course that's natsu no shiken. If it's exams in the summer, then it's natsu ni shiken no mae ni. You can use ni twice here, doesn't matter.
Yeah. Motto 勉強してほしい。
Very good. Exactly. She. This. Okay, good. Excellent. Okay, let's read this, guys. Then we'll just finish off with a quick assignment at the end. I'm going to go for the one that you probably would say. Tsumaranai no ni Susan-san to hanashite hoshii desu.
つまらないのに、Susan-さんと話してほしいです。
昨日どこに行ったのを伝えてほしいです。
昨日どこに行ったのを伝えてほしいです。
As well as or 行ったか、you can put か。昨日どこに行ったかを so not or are fine. Not or か are fine in this. これが痛いかを伝えてほしいです。
これが痛いか伝えてほしいです。
And this one's also good. これが痛ければ言ってほしいです。
これが痛ければ言ってほしいです。
Just this is purely my opinion, and if it's true, then it's purely about style of conversation rather than correct grammar. I think if you use the ba or certainly the ba conditional here, itakereba, then I think this fits better with kore ga itakereba yutte kudasai. To actually make it into request. What about this one? Kore ga itai nara. I think the same for this as well. This would also be kudasai. Kore ga itai toki itte hoshii desu. That one I'm not sure. Moshi kore ga ittara itte hoshii desu. This is also kudasai, I believe. This is purely my opinion. And I think this is actually the only one where this works better with this type to say if, then I want you to tell me. But this is purely my opinion, and if it's true, it's purely about conversation style rather than.
And if you have the kudasai, isn't it? Please tell me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Less strong.
Yeah, it's just that if you use it with these conditionals, I think the conditionals work better with itte kudasai rather than itte hoshii desu. Yeah. I think the temporal nature of these terms lend themselves better to either is to use turning this into a request.
Mm.
Yeah, I think possibly. Okay. Anoshima ni oyoide hoshii desu.
Anoshima ni
oyoide hoshii desu.
Ocha o mo ippai susoide hoshii desu.
Ocha o mo ippai susoide hoshii desu.
So I think that it negates that no actually, Joe. Ocha o has to be yeah. Ocha o mo ippai susoide. Yeah.
Is that a mo or a more?
Mo, just a short mo.
Just a short one.
Yeah. Ocha o.
Why isn't it more with a long O?
Isn't it a long one? More.
Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon. Sorry, you're right. It is more. It is more ippai. Yeah, sorry, you're right. Ocha o mo ippai o susoide mo. Yeah, that's fine. Natsu no shiken no mae ni motto benkyou shite hoshii desu.
Natsu no shiken no mae ni motto benkyou shite hoshii desu.
Okay, any questions about this schniffle? Okay, right, let us do the final thing for today. Okay. Which is going to be a little assignment. And we probably won't have time to do all of these, so at the end I might just catch one or two of you, and then the rest of you can just post it on Facebook or something, or I'll post the answers and then you can check yourselves. So I'm going to ask you each to do one of these first. So Jock, can you do this one to your teacher? So this goes from there to there. Tom, to a waiter, from there to there. Effie, to your friend, there to there. David, to a child, there to there. Yari, to your partner, there to there. Joseph, to a colleague, there to there. And then Pyeongdong, to your teacher, and Wayne, to a waiter. So what I'd like you to do, before you actually start, right, I'm going to leave this up on the screen for a second, guys, but just I'm going to just stop sharing this for a second. So I'd like you to do this. Where is it? I'd like you to pick the right level of politeness when you do this. Okay, so I'm going to start moving away from just using keigo and move up, use a bit of sonkeigo or tamego, and just try to make it appropriately polite. Now, I'm personally I leave it up to you. I'm personally of the belief that service staff, like waiters, have got complete and utter control over your food, whether it's made or whether it's emitted from the body. So I'm always very polite to service staff, but I leave it up to you. So do you want to have, let's have 4 minutes to have a go at constructing these passages.
Wow.
I'll be back. I'm just reading the stuff you sent me, Effie. You didn't leave me shit.
Very interesting news, I had to say. I had to highlight it.
Nani will come up. Cool. Yeah, this quite exclusively uses nani mo kamo for everything, doesn't it? Sate kore de nani mo kamo samatta. Okay, right, should we just do a couple of these? So let's do, let's see. 1, 2, 3. Effie, do you want to do to your friend, this one?
Yeah. So, 聞いて、ここに座ってね。
ここに座ってね。
Yeah. So I don't know about some vocabulary, so just, yeah. 最近に何かしたいますか？
何
か？何か？
I think 何を。
Okay. 何をしたいますか？
したいました。
したいますか？I mean, like して、but in the past?
I think していましたか?
Okay, yeah. So we changed the imasta. Okay.
Yeah.
I changed the shita, sorry.
If you want to make this a little bit informal, していたか? Or in fact, not ka, but depends on which part of Japan you come from. This makes it a little bit more friendly. したいたの? 何をしたい?
Wait, now the last 3 months. この3月に
3ヶ月.
3K. Okay.
But it's actually it's pronounced 3ヶ月. It's spelled 3ヶ月 confusingly.
So you want to make the duration, otherwise it sounded a bit weird. I didn't know how to say it.
So it's not it's not 3月間, 3ヶ月.
3ヶ月に
Yeah.
フランス語を勉強しました。
That's cool. Oh, 勉強
しました。
Let's keep it informal, shall we?
したな。
勉強した。したな。
本当に Now I'm not sure about that. Mo hitotsu no hito ga.
Mo hitori. Mo hitori.
Mo hitori. So just this? Mo hitori?
Uh-huh.
Ga.
Uh-huh.
一緒に勉強したほしいです。一緒に勉強したほしい or もらいたいです。Or is it too formal?
勉強して。
勉強して。
Yeah, sorry.
勉強して it was the name. 欲しいです。
欲しいです。
or もらいたいです。
欲しいだ。欲しい。or just 勉強してほしい。勉強してほしい。Yeah. 本当にもう一人が一緒に。Okay, so this kind of is like a direct translation, but what it actually says is another もう一人が一緒に somebody else wants to practice, wants to study with me, but I don't know. もう一人が一緒に勉強してほしい。もう一人と、sorry, もう一人と一緒に勉強してほしいです。Or that, yeah, in fact, もう一人 is probably not right, like you said, Joseph. 誰かと means somebody. もう一人 means another person, like it's another specified person. Or 誰かを、他の人と。So 誰かと or 他の人と。
Okay.
And we'll do one more because time is a-rolling. David, do you want to do your?
Okay. Please repeat. I got hayaku nomite kure.
Hayaku, not nomite, but
sorry. 飲んでくれ。
Yeah, 飲んでくれ。
飲んでくれ。
Good.
電車に乗らなければならない。
Good. 電車に乗らなければならない。Good.
電車に乗ったらお弁当が食べられる。
Yeah. 電車を乗ったらお弁当が食べられる。食べられる。食べられる。
Too many does. 乗る前にトイレに行く必要があるか。
Okay. 行く必要。So here you can just say 行く必要ですか？
必須。
Sorry, 必要ですか？ Yeah. 必要ですか？
Oh, there's no need for がある。
No,
Okay.
you can just use 必要ですか? Is it necessary?
Probably not desu.
Yeah, 必要の will be better here.
必要の。Okay.
必要の。
And the taberareru is the exact reason the Poles just skip vowels entirely.
Yeah. I think from what Yuki was saying, that you can taberareru's become tabereru.
Tabereri.
Yeah, but yeah, I want us to start off with correct Japanese first, then we can screw around with it later. Okay, good. Let's call it a day, guys. I'll stick my versions of this up onto this event on Facebook. These are kind of now open, so you know it's going to be open to interpretation. This will be my version. You'll have your version as well. So don't worry too much if there's a little bit of difference. Okay. Any questions, guys?
And what do you want us to do, Andy? To translate all of these?
If you want some homework, why not translate them all? You don't need to post them to me. If you just want to check them against the answers I put up. Yeah, otherwise I'm going to have to check everybody's and it will take too much time.
No.
Yeah.
Okay,
cool.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks guys. See you next time.
Thank you.
Ciao, ciao. Bye bye.
ありがとう。
ありがとうございました。
また。
お疲れ様でした。
ありがとうございました。
じゃあねー。
お疲れ様でした。